The impression the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Welcome everybody to Treaty Talk. Raphael here standing in for Tom, who's away skiing this weekend, I'm led to believe. Matt, well for some, but I suppose not as cold as where Tom was or is at the moment, but starting in Hurlers last Sunday with Limerick's 136-19 win over Antrim. Hard, I suppose, to take anything from some of these league games so early on in the season, Matt, but as far as a Limerick team with given game time to some of the younger players and players that you'd hope to see further down the line, I think it was a box ticked for John Kiley.
It was, Raf, and you know, the old cliche, all you can play is what is put in front of you. And like, whilst Limerick were expected to win, I didn't in my wildest dreams, and I think there's very few thought that they'd win with such ease. You must remember that they were trailing. They were actually trailing after 20 minutes, after 21 minutes, when Antrim got the goal. And for the rest of the half, in 14 minutes and plus whatever injury time was on, they outscored Antrim 10 points to 2 to turn it right round. And if that wasn't bad enough from an Antrim point of view, Limerick scored the first 1-9 of the second half. Shane O'Brien had the ball in the net within a minute of the restart. So, like, here you had a goal and 19 points to 2 points in the space of 30 minutes of hurling. And like, I don't think anybody could live with that. Now, Antrim were down a few players, but like, there's no question about it. Like it just confirms the level of depth that's in John Kiley's squad at the moment, and the level of competition that's there. Like, he puts out a complete new full forward line. I suppose to be stretching it a bit to say it was a rookie full forward line, but it's a full forward line that, you know, have been on the fringes, and like, they post 122, 117 from play. Like, you could hardly do it pucking around in an hour, you know. It was a fantastic performance, but all over the field. A very interesting experiment that John Kiley did last Sunday was the placing of David Reedy at centre half back. Now, I know people were wondering David Reedy at centre half back, but I remember David Reedy in 2012 when he was a student in Charleville CBS, and they got to the Harty Cup final where they were beaten by Ardscoil Reach. But David Reedy was absolutely outstanding throughout the campaign and was a huge factor as to why Charleville CBS got to the threshold of Harty Cup success. So, and he's played there at centre half back for his club. So playing at centre half back isn't unusual for David Reedy. I'm just wondering what the thinking of it behind it is. Is he going to use Declan Hannon sparingly? And is David Reedy the man to slot in there and leave that will free up William O'Donoghue to return to midfield? It's just interesting, and it's one of these things. Watch this space. Like, you must remember that Limerick only lined out with 4 of the starting team in the All-Ireland. Now, another 4 that had been used during the course of the game came on. Or, another 4 that had been used during the course of the All-Ireland final either started or came on. But like that's only just half a team. But certainly John Kiley, he cannot be he cannot be accused of not giving people a chance.
And I suppose, look, Matt, we all know of the value that John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk, and that coaching staff place in players and their interchangeability within different lines of that squad. I mean, we only have to look to see how they reacted to injuries to key critical players over the previous seasons, whether it was Mike Casey, whether it was Peter Casey, whether it was Sean Finn, whether it was the Cian Lynch injury. Within a line or two of where you would normally play your hurling, it's almost as if like Limerick players are like if you're a halfback, you're expected to be equally comfortable a zone ahead as you are a zone behind the fullback line. I think that's true to what John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk look for in the squad.
Yeah, you just look at the history of the squad, and you look at Barry Nash, a forward all his life at underage. He was moved back to wing back. Everybody asked questions, and then he was moved back to cornerback. Now is one of the finest cornerbacks that has ever graced the game. You look at Kyle Hayes, started at centre forward, moved back to wing back, moved up again into the forwards, and now back again at centre half back or at wing back. And the most classical example of all was, and most recent was the way that William O'Donoghue dovetailed so nicely in at centre half back in the All-Ireland final. You're absolutely right in what you're saying. That is the type of versatility that is expected from players. And by God, they have delivered it over the last 6 years. Like, if we were having this conversation exactly this time 12 months, and somebody told you that you were going to get into the All-Ireland series, but you were going to be without Sean Finn, you were going to be without Declan Hannon, you throw your hands in the air and you say, that's it. But again, it proves the depth of the Limerick squad, plus the adaptability of the players in the squad, that they can just dovetail into those places, into those vacant places. Like Mike Casey, he started his hurling career at underage at left back, moved to become an outstanding fullback. In Limerick's hour of crisis, he was moved to right fullback. And we had the William O'Donoghue case last year. So, but it's going to be interesting now. They're going to Westmeath on Sunday. And you'd wonder, and you'd probably say to yourself, is John Kiley going to give a vote of confidence to those that did so well against Antrim? I'm not so sure.
I was going to say that to you, Matt. Are you expecting more of the same this weekend, or do you think it's going to be another rejig, or is it a case of keeping the level of young blood in the team constant and rotating in the more established guys, and with a new rotation again? It's the ultimate kind of balancing act for these opening rounds.
It is, and you're going to see more rotation, and I think you're going to see more of the top class players back. If you were a top class player in the full forward line, you couldn't wait to get back with the 3 boys that are in there at the moment. But that is the type of competition that's in the squad. So I honestly think that there will be changes, and I think that you will probably see that there will be I think you'll see 1 or 2 more making a return, like your Dara O'Donovan on the bench now last week. You could see Dara starting, that type of thing. The players will be used in and out, but in fairness, when you sit down and see the league schedule at the very start, John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk must be absolutely delighted, because if you have ambitions of winning the league, like, you have an ideal start, a couple of pipe openers against Antrim, and this is no disrespect to them, and Westmeath. Then you have Dublin, and then you have the big 2, Tipperary and Galway, both in the Gaelic grounds. So it was ideally set up if Limerick are so minded to try and retain the title. But of course, the league there's a bit more riding on the league this year. in that there's a new format in 2025. And like, it's important that you finish in the top 3 to be assured of a place in the top flight next year. And the best
I think the best 4th place, isn't it, then on points and
will go on
points
top of it to make it an uneven number 7. So it's 5 divisions of 7. I don't get it myself, but why we have to have 7, I don't know. But it is what it is now, and like you'd have to think that qualifying for the group stage, at least Limerick would have put to bed. You'd hope with another win over Westmeath next Sunday, and then they play Dublin in Croke Park, which is a double header actually in Croke Park, and the following Saturday week, with a rematch of the All Ireland between Kerry and Dublin. So
like essentially, if they win, if they beat Westmeath and go on to beat Dublin, that should guarantee them 3rd spot at least. And then I suppose it's a case of whatever they decide to do against the last 2 in the last 2 rounds, whether it's to like you said, to drive to retain their league title, or they go a different route.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you have an absolute game that's written in stone. 21st of April, going to play Clare and Ennis, and Limerick will really, really be focusing on that, and everything that will be done between now and then is geared for that date. And you must remember, Raf, it's scarcely more than 2 months away.
Yeah, that's the thing, I suppose, with this format and this split season, that things creep up on you very, very quickly and are over before you know it. So I guess there is a lot of pressure to have it right, and to have it right for the start of the championship. Matt, just before we move off the hurling, anything from the other teams that you've seen in the opening round of games that you'd be sitting up and paying attention to?
No, Tipperary had a good win over Dublin. I saw footage of the Kilkenny and Wexford game. I saw footage of Cork and Clare. Galway had a huge win, 31 points to spare over Westmeath. And of course, you have to pity for Westmeath in many ways, in that you take that drubbing from Galway and in Pearse Stadium, and next up are the 4 times All Ireland champions. Like it is very difficult. But like the one thing that struck me on the first week, Raf, was the performance of Limerick.
I suppose, Matt, moving along to the footballers.
But before we move on from hurling, and I know we'll be coming back to it in the context of the Fitzgibbon Cup and on Munster Post Primary. But while we're on the Limerick thing, the draws for the Limerick Senior Championships took place this week, and took place semi behind closed doors. There's a lot of unease around the county about it. Now, I've been a recipient of a very, very strong worded text on the matter. And I've also been the recipient of a very irate caller at the other end of the line today, to which I responded. Was he his club delegate? And he said he was. He asked me what was I going to do about it. I said nothing, but you have power to do it. You power to raise it. I think it's a regressive step. I'm not querying transparency or anything, but it is one of those highlights of the year. The draw, they've been streamed for the last couple of years, and they've been held at county board meetings, and there's a buzz around them. Now, they didn't all take place on Tuesday night. The Intermediate Hurling Championship and the new Premier Junior Championship, I understand, are penciled in to take place tonight. But these things should be taken. These things should be transmitted. Like when people, the housebound, the diaspora, And I speak about these all the time because this is what the streaming service has been a godsend to them, and they used to look forward to the draw, and clubs looked, I know some of the times it has been streamed, it hasn't been at county board meetings, but I think it's a very disappointing, and I think it's a regressive step, and I'm not attributing blame, but what I say to the county board collectively, don't let it happen again. There is discontent around the county about it. There is no suggestion whatsoever that anything untoward or anything like that. But this idea of being semi behind closed doors, because members of the CCC and their representatives, it's comprised of representatives from the various divisions, they were present. But I think it's one of those nights, when, everything should be out in the open.
Yeah. And I think, Matt, over the last few years, people, there has been an expectation of being able to see the draws. There's been an expectation of, I suppose, being there to witness it, whether you're there in person or not. And look, it's definitely something that we have done in conjunction with Limerick GA over the last few years, and absolutely something that we'd look forward to doing again. And I'd echo your thoughts on that, Matt. The footballers, it's been a very, very sticky assignment so far in the National League. Another, I think, up in Park Gessler against Down at the weekend, 3-16 to 9 points. We won't dwell too long on this one. I know they're going into a break weekend and a chance to maybe regroup, but it's hard going at the moment for the footballers.
It is, and my heart goes out to Jimmy Lee because he really knows his job, but he was handed a very, very difficult hand of cards in that he inherited a squad, 17 of whom 17 of the squad that featured against Laois in the last round of the Talton Cup last year are not available for various reasons. So that lets a huge amount of gaps to fill. It includes some huge players like Cian Sheehan, Brian Fanning, Adrian Enright, Brian Donovan. Mike Donovan is missing, Gordon Brown. You've huge players missing, and Hugh Burke is out injured. Robbie Burke has
Matt, if you flip that on its head and you said to yourself, look, if you were in John Kiley's shoes and he was down 17 starters or frontline players or panelists even from last year, you'd say they were decimated. What would your expectations be for the Hurlers if they face that scenario? And I think with Limerick football, sometimes it can be a case of, one step forward, two steps back, in that it's very hard for them to create that kind of that longevity of players within the panel and of these massive kind of player turnovers that seem to happen in very short windows and give coaches a fairly tough hand to play.
Like Jimmy's brother Billy, he made no secret of the fact that one year when he sat down to establish his panel, over 50 players refused to take part that he invited in. So that is what the challenge that Jimmy Lee and his management team are facing. Now, the challenge in the league now, is going to be huge. The loss at home to Antrim, coupled with the defeat to Down, leaves Limerick in a situation where there is no further room for slippage, unfortunately. You have 5 games left, and basically, as a minimum, you have to win. You have to win 3 of them. Now, Sligo's next up, and then we have Westmeath, and Clare are coming down the tracks, Offaly are coming down the tracks. So, you have trips to Westmeath and you have trips to Offaly. They're going to be extremely difficult, and Westmeath being our bogey team for so long. It's a difficult place to be for Jimmy at the moment. Now, I understand that there may be a bit of a relief coming along in so far as that some of those that weren't available. I think your cousin is one of them, who should be back in the fold very shortly. Danny Neville, Josh Ryan, Robbie Burke, they're closing in on returns, which would be very, very welcome news. You know, if you can get experienced bodies in there now, like John Kiley, Jimmy Lee has been given game time to players coming through. But you know, we're expecting them to come through too quick at this stage, as you referenced there earlier on. This thing is going to take time, and you know what it needs, and it's something that's in scarce supply amongst GAA sports supporters, is patience.
Yeah,
you know, and Limerick, call a spade a spade. Limerick are in a battle to preserve their Division 3 status.
Yeah, and Matt, I think that would be a huge achievement if they were to do that, you know, and I think there are definitely games within that remaining fixtures, within that remaining program of fixtures, that Jimmy Lee can have a good rattle off. You know, I don't think it's a case of all is lost, but you know, I think they'll welcome the break this week to try and you know, circle the wagons and see where they are when they come back out for next round, because you know, I don't think it's quite all lost, but there are some big games that they will have to get results from.
There are, and I mentioned the trips to Westmeath and Offaly, and Sligo isn't going to be an easy game. Oh, you have a trip to Wicklow as well thrown in, you know, and Antrim has been the graveyard of so many hopes in the past. But just to put it into context, Raf, Down just missed out on promotion last year, and they got to the Tarleton Cup final where they were beaten by Meath. So in terms of development, they were further down the road than Limerick were.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have a situation in Limerick, new manager, new squad. Takes time to get your ducks in order. Takes time to mould your team together, mould your squad together. And Jimmy certainly needs time. And I don't think, you know, look, it needs 3 wins, and one of those has to be on the road, and you have to beat Sligo and Clare at home. That is the minimum to preserve status.
Yeah, and the points differential, not great. The points differential at the moment at -23 is nearly like having a point less if it goes to, unless it goes to a head-to-head tiebreaker. So that's probably another thing that is slightly, you know, in disadvantage to Limerick as well with the way they stand at the moment. Matt, I suppose we'll park the football there for now and come back to that when they're back after their break week. Third level stuff, Matt, plenty going on. Great to see both Mary I and Joel into separate sides of the fifth draw. Unfortunately, though, for Joel, lost out by just a point this evening in their game. I think was it against UCD?
UCD 212 to 114,
and having 2 great chances near the end to get level.
Absolutely, I watched most of it, and they had raced into a very early lead of 1-4 to 2 points, but they're about midway through the first half. But for the remainder of the half, they failed to score while UCD kicked 6 points, and it was looking kind of ominous for them at that stage, because UCD had a very, very firm grip in the game, but they came out at the second half and really, really put it up to them. And like there were 2, it's very, very hard to say gilt-edged chances, but they were 2 very, very good chances there towards the end to force the game to extra time. So that's the interest in the Sigerson Cup. Now, the Fitzgibbon Cup, you're right. Mary Immaculate and UL have avoided each other. Mary Immaculate had a very, very good win yesterday and on Wednesday over local rivals TUS Midwest in a Limerick derby, whilst UL had a good win over UCC. And it probably, the UCC game was probably an ideal game for Brian Ryan and his men going forward, because in the group stages they had it all too easy. But certainly UCC, like who in the first round went down quite convincingly enough now to Mary I, but bounced back in the second round and beat Maynooth. Having played against the wind last night in Maguire's Field, UCC led by 3 points, 12 points to 9. But I thought at that stage that they had expended an awful lot of energy to be in that position. And I couldn't see him sustaining it in the second half. And that from a UCC point of view, was unfortunately how it panned out. But this is an extremely talented UL team, Raf. You know, you take them from 1 to 15, players coming off the bench. And like there's so many, it's great that there's so many Limerick players on the team. Like last night you had Conor Hanley Clark was in goals, Fergal O'Connor was corner back, Colin Coughlin was wing back, Aidan O'Connor, you had Adam English, you had Paddy Donovan coming on, Brian O'Grady, who I thought had a very good game at midfield. You know, and that's 7 players off at the top of my head now. That you know, that's half a team nearly. You know, and like certainly in many ways, it takes me back to around 2017, 2018 when this Great Limerick Odyssey was starting, and when the UL team was populated by an awful lot of Limerick players. So we're having much more of the same now again, I think, a bit. And now Eddie Stokes came on for UCC, Eddie Stokes from Doon, but came on late in the game, and I'd say came on at a time when it was too late to make an impact in the game. Although the game was, you know, it was in the melting pot until Matt Rogers got a goal in the point about 3 minutes from the end. You know, it could possibly have gone either way, but
and he was quiet for the majority of the game, but just seemed to come alive in that 5-minute spell and did enough damage, and it was crucial.
It was crucial, but I thought Rob Downey was outstanding in the UCC defence, and that was part of it. And John Millerick and Shane Kingston, they were outstanding, so they were not going to concede that much. Yeah, look, I would be making UL favourites. Whether I'd make them strong favourites to win it or not, I'm not so sure I would. They have a tough task against University of Galway. They're going to be tough customers. But I said some time off to our colleague John Keogh that I had visions of a UL Mary Immaculate final. And I'm not going to deviate from that.
It wouldn't be the first time that you've been convinced of your visions, Matt. So we wouldn't expect you to do a U-turn or a flip-flop on that at this stage. Matt, moving along to the Harty Cup, and heartbreak for Ard Skull in what was an absolutely unbelievably dramatic ending, losing out on a scoreline of 21 points to 216 against Nina CBS, who claimed their first Harty Cup title. Congratulations to Nina on that, but it was a sickener of a way to lose a game.
A sickener of a way to lose a game. Congratulations, I agree with you, to Nina CBS, and I suppose congratulations to Nina CBS on the double, in that they completed a very, very famous double, winning the Dean Ryan for the first time last November, and now adding the Harty Cup, and they're the third new name that has gone in the Harty Cup in as many years. They're following in the footsteps of St. Joseph's Tulla, who were first-time winners in 2022, Castle Community College, who were first-time winners last year, and now we have Nina CBS. Unfortunately, from an Ard Skull Reach point of view, two of them were at the expense of Ard Skull Reach. And from what I saw in the game, and I saw all the game, and I watched it back, I watched most of it a second time. The season is far from over for Ard Skull Reach. And I'm not saying this now because you will recall in 2022, when they lost to St. Joseph's Tulla, they regrouped and went on and won the All-Ireland. So now I think they're in a good position to do that again. But of course, you've St. Kieran's, their arch rivals, their great rivals. Now they've got to go through the quarter final route. But I'd be quite confident, Raf, even despite the defeat, that Ardscoil Reach will have a very, very big say in the destination of the Croke Cup. A very, very big say.
Yeah, and I suppose we saw that, like you referenced that year when they I think it was the year they lost to Tulla in the final. They dusted themselves down. I'm not saying, they tend to forget about the Harty once it's lost and move on. And again, I would envisage that they'll have a right good crack at it, because again, I'm guessing they'll probably feel that the Harty was probably a game that got away from them, and they'll probably go back into this All-Ireland series with a point to prove.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and they have the players to do it. Like we saw a fantastic display by Fintan Fitzgerald. Mark O'Brien was outstanding as well up front. I think they got 10 points between them, all bar one from Clare. So I fancy Ardscoil. If they avoid each other, it could be Ardscoil against Nina or St. Kieran's in the final.
Yeah,
I'm not ruling out Nina. I'm not ruling out a repeat of the Harty Cup final now.
Yeah, which is also a possibility given the structure of the draw, I believe.
Yeah.
Matt, putting the Harty and post-primary schools action to this. I think you've a note on Kilfinnan before I put that to bed.
I have a big note on Kilfinnan because Kilfinnan, Sculpole Kilfinnan won their first ever Munster College's senior hurling title when they won the senior C championship. Now, it was their second time in 4 years appearing in the final. They were beaten narrowly by 2 points in 2020. A team captained by now Limerick senior hurler Jimmy Quilty went down to Colossus at Canturk, a team that featured Brian O'Sullivan, who is a very key member of the present UL team. But on Saturday in the Astra turf in Fethard, they were up against Glanmire Community College. Now, physically, when I saw the sides going out, I said, advantage Glanmire Community College here. And Glanmire Community College got a great start now. They had a point and 3 wides in the first 4 minutes. So that will give you an idea. They went all out. But a goal by Christian O'Gorman, a Cork minor from last year, in the 5th minute, turned it in Ardscoil's favour, and they weren't led. And he added a point again after that, and they weren't led for the rest of the game. Now they had to dig very, very deep. Now in the second half in particular, I thought they were excellent, and if they can have a complaint, I would concur with this, that the performance that Sculpole put on last Saturday was not fully reflected in a 5 points winning margin. I thought it deserved a more comfortable one, but it'll give you an idea of the strength of the team and the balance. It's a very, very balanced team, and they have a couple of outstanding performers. Shane Fitzgibbon and Limerick under 20, former Limerick minor, absolutely outstanding at centre back, a colossus. And you've Dahi Dennehy, hugely one of the rising stars of Limerick hurling, now involved with Limerick minors this year. He was immense at midfield, but overall it was a team performance. And they restricted Glanmire Community College to 3 points in the second half, and the 3 points came in a 7-minute spell when they closed the 4-point gap down to 1 with a quarter of an hour to go, and you set yourself game on.
Yeah.
But it was then that we saw Skull Pole at their best. They really, really dug in, and they didn't concede another score. And for that matter, they didn't look like conceding a score. Maybe apart from a chance at the end, which they had a goal chance at the end, and a fantastic blockdown save by Cathal Dennehy, the goalkeeper, kept it at bay. But it would have come at a stage that was even too late.
Yeah.
But from the school's perspective, Raf, it was just a fantastic occasion to be there. So now they're going to go on and they're going to face the Leinster champions. I'm not sure who they are. I think it's in the concluding stages. I understand Cistercian and Ross Gray are in the concluding stages, but in the semi-final on the 2nd of March. So like Ardskull, they're entitled from the performance that I saw. And I saw last year's C final as well, in which Mitchelstown beat Pallaskenry. And Mitchelstown went on and won the All-Ireland. And I see no reason why Skull Pole possibly can do the same. They were extremely well coached by Ed Kiley from Doon and the Camogue Rovers duo, Anthony Punch and Patrick McCarthy. Did a great job done in them. And as I said, if I had any reservation about it is that I thought that their performance on the day deserved a greater winning margin.
Yeah, and hopefully if they do make it to the final, we will be streaming that for the GAA, so it would be great to have Skull Pole present and on All-Ireland Schools final day. Matt, just one other bit of news that came through over the last day or so was the return of Kieran Carey to the helm at Patrickswell.
Yeah, I suppose, when I have that now, thanks to your good self, look, it was something waiting to happen. I suppose there was an inevitability about it, wasn't there? And we've known what Kieran has done in the past, and like Patrickswell, they weren't a million miles away from it last year. So with that extra boost, 3 hurlers of the year in 3 years, I think, he'll probably take him the extra step. There will be a Carey factor. We've seen it in the past when he went in there. It's his third time there, actually, I think.
It is.
And straight away when you'd be doing the odds, when you'd hear that he'd be going in there, the odds on Patrickswell for this year's championship would be shortening already.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose the other one that was doing the rounds last week with the Limerick leader was the story on Limerick Senior Hurling Club have high profile names for shortlists for 2024, with Derek McGrath being linked with a coaching role in Doon. Doon seem to be a club for bringing in the big managers. They've had some pretty heavy hitters down that side of the country over the county over the last few years.
Yeah, but I understand that at this stage it's only being linked.
Yeah,
but I've said this. I've said this to several times on this medium, as you know, that my admiration for Doon, is limitless for what they did in the past in 2023.
Yeah, I suppose, Matt, you only have to go back. I think it was at nine starters, and I think we watched them take a trimming over in Kilmallock in Bruff. I think at the hands of Kilmallock and you could not see where they were going to. Like if somebody sat down and told you that they'd come within a penalty shootout of knocking the Piercing out at a semi-final stage, you'd have told them that they were talking rubbish or that they were gone mad. It was quite an upward trajectory from that dark day outside in Bruff.
You at the risk of being repetitive, you hear these crying wolf stories about we're missing this, we're missing that, and we're missing the other. The simple fact of the matter, and it is fact, Doon were missing the 6 backs that finished the championship the previous year. All in the one area of the field. And you had Dean Coleman, who played in the league but left for Australia shortly afterwards. So there were 7 key players gone. I think it's absolutely incredible the way they rejigged their forces and what they did. They took a heavy beating to Kilmallock in the first round, came back, beat Patrick Swell, who had beaten the Piercik, then took a heavy beating by the Piercik, came back and beat Kildimo Palace Kenry 3 or 4 days afterwards, and made it through to the quarter final with and beat a hand in and made it through, and then got to the semi-final. And that was a memorable semi-final when they went within penalty shootout of reaching the county final. It was phenomenal. But happily, the story is going to be much better this year with quite a number of the walking wounded back. And I honestly think that we're due to make the breakthrough at senior inter-county level. I don't think there's a GA person in this county would begrudge it to him.
Certainly not. Matt, LGFA Limerick entertaining Longford this weekend out in Coolyroo. Longford on 4 points, Limerick on 7, and tipping along pretty well in Division 4. 2 wins and a draw from their opening 3 matches. Always hard to call these Division 4 games because I suppose you could take the Kilkennys and the Derrys out of it, and Wicklow, Longford, Carlow, Fermanagh, Limerick, Leitrim. There hasn't been a whole pile between that group of 6 over the last few years.
No, and we have the advantage of having 6 of our 7 games at home in this year's competition. You're right, we have 7 points out of a possible 9. We're really getting into the meaty part of the league now at this stage. It's round 4. And the system, as I explained, is there are 8 teams in it play a full round robin, top 4 qualify for semi-finals. So the important thing and the first step for the new management of Mike Quilligan and Sean Kiley is to get into that top 4. Now, so far, things are going well. And a win over Longford, I think, would put them in a very, very, very strong position to make the top 4. But Longford are going to be a different kettle to fish to what we've seen, because they were playing in Division 3 last year. They were relegated. Now, they haven't rooted up any trees since they returned to Division 4. They suffered a very heavy defeat to Fermanagh in the first round, then beat Kilkenny, and the last time out drew with Carlow. So that accounts for their 4 points. But it's an important game for Limerick, and I feel, and also from a Limerick point of view, Limerick have received a major boost. Roisin Ambrose, Cathy Mee, Alva Quaid, Yvonne Lee. They missed the first 2 games completely due to injury. They came back during the second half against Kilkenny. And I expect that possibly for the first time this year that the joint managers will be able to name a full team for a league match. I think everybody, I haven't heard of anybody that's not available. Now he's tried a couple of young players. Roisin Brown has been very, very good. Grace Milan, and we've Evian Murphy, Quiva McNamara. They've all been tried and certainly are prospects. But as I said, we're into the meaty stage of the league now, and I think a result against Longford is going to be an imperative, because our next game is our only away game of the campaign, and it's away to the leaders, Leitrim. And then we have entertained Fermanagh at home before finishing up with Carlow. So it's going to be a tough run from here on in. So I think 3 points on Sunday are going to be very, very important. And to be quite honest, I expect we'll get them.
Yeah. Look, Yeah, it's an interesting weekend, and I think with that format, with the top 4 getting through, it does give Limerick a good opportunity. And I think getting out of that Division 4 is so important for Limerick. I think we saw the importance of playing at a higher division, especially in that Junior All-Ireland final last year when Limerick came up against Down, and you saw a team that had been playing at a higher league level, albeit in the same championship as Limerick in terms of their size. They were just that bit bigger and that bit stronger. And I think playing at that higher league level against better quality teams was ultimately what won the day for Down in that final last year last year up in Croke Park. So I think getting out of that division is huge for Limerick.
Absolutely, and with the configuration of the team at the moment is such, with the experience and the youth coming through, that you cannot afford to continue to languish in Division 4 if you're to make progress.
No.
But the first step, and we have to take gentle steps. The first step is to get into the semi-finals and then let the knockout stage take care of itself. It's the only group, it's the only division in the league that has semi-finals. The other 3 have straight finals.
Top 2,
so
correct.
There is that extra opportunity there, to get an extra game, and I'm very hopeful that Limerick will make the 4 at 7 points now. They appear to be in a good position, but at 10 points on Sunday evening they'll be in a better position.
Absolutely,
that's the reality of it.
For sure. Matt, any other business?
Well, we have a Munster final on Saturday at 2:30 in Rahena, where Monaleen will be seeking to become the 6th team from Limerick to win the Munster Junior B competition final. Now, as you know, winning Munster and winning All Irelands and winning counties is a familiar route for Monaleen. It's not too long ago since they won the county Munster and All Ireland intermediate clubs. So, but they'll probably take inspiration from that. Now they're facing a very, very strong team. Drummond-Inch, the Tipperary champions, who by all accounts are raging hot favourites. But I have the same narrative going around 12 months ago when Bruff got to the final, and they were playing the team of all the talents, Thurles Sarsfields in the final that included a 1 Redzard O'Grady. And it didn't pan out like that. Bruff won it. So I'm very, very hopeful that history will repeat itself. You have to sort of listen to Thunder. When you hear all these things about this team being exceptional, that or the other thing, it'll all be defined by what happens between the white lines for just over an hour on Saturday. It's Saturday at 2:30, and I give Monaleen a right good chance.
Yeah, let's hope so, Matt. I think that
the final thing I just want to mention is that unfortunately Ballylanders were knocked out in the first round, but the Knockaderry Junior B competition continues, and this week we have the semi-final between the Shannon Gales from Tipperary, who beat Ballylanders, and they are taking on Kilmehel from Clare at 2:00 in Paddy Carroll Park, Ballygran. It is moved from Knockaderry this year because the Knockaderry facility is undergoing considerable upgrading. So it's on in Paddy Carroll Park this Sunday at 2:00. Shannon Rovers from Tipperary against Kilmehel from Clare. The prize for the winners, a place in the final against St. Oliver Plunkets of Cork or Lisbole of Kerry.
Yeah, what a prize that is, Matt. We'll leave it there, and we'll be back next week, I suppose, with analysis of some of the results from this weekend, and hopefully Tom Clancy will land back from the slopes in one piece, and look forward to having him back.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the workout today. No more about it. They made all the run, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the packed it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We've had a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.